The events begin in a world where the hero once lived, a world completely destroyed by massive thunderstorms that filled the sky. Destruction and chaos spread, and monsters swarmed the land, fighting violently and relentlessly. People were forced to fight constantly against the monsters just to survive. The hero spent his entire life battling in fierce wars without rest. Despite wounds and exhaustion, the hero stood strong and defiant, staring into the horizon with unwavering will. The hero continued to face the monsters day after day, without a single truce. The battles went on month after month, with the hero fighting tirelessly. A full year passed as he grew stronger and more determined in the face of challenges. 10 whole years went by, but they felt like mere moments to him, as he kept fighting the monsters fiercely. With the power of his single sword, he was able to defeat any monster without fear. But that confidence was shattered when a terrifying beast appeared, one whose strength surpassed all previous monsters, and it defeated the hero with ease. The monster looked at the hero with disdain and told him to surrender, for the world he was fighting for had already ended. At the moment of his defeat, the hero thought that someone must be behind all this destruction, someone manipulating everything that had happened. This mysterious being said that the hero's strength and potential were a waste, and demanded that he become his sword and tool. The hero mocked the offer and rejected it with fierce determination. Despite his wounds, the hero charged forward with courage, attacking his opponent with all his might. The battle escalated fiercely as blows were exchanged between the two. The hero kept trying to block his opponent's powerful and brutal strikes. The fight continued with intense and savage attacks from both sides. The hero showed stubborn determination in the battle, despite his multiple injuries. But the clear difference in strength remained in favor of his opponent, who deflected the hero's attacks effortlessly. The enemy declared that no matter how hard the hero tried, he would always be weak in the face of such great power. The hero received a painful and brutal blow that left him unable to endure. He was thrown back with force, unable to rise again. Despite his fall and inability to move, he chose to continue the fight. The monster stood tall with confidence and arrogance, clearly victorious. The beast displayed its strength and greatness before the defeated hero, asserting its superiority. It launched a devastating attack that showcased its immense power, destroying everything around it. The hero completely collapsed, kneeling on the ground, exhausted and defeated. Meanwhile, the monster stood firm in all its might, staring at the hero who could no longer fight back. The hero noticed a mysterious pendant glowing distinctively, hanging from the chest of the massive beast. He stared at the pendant, clenching his fists as he tried to keep fighting despite his wounds. With great determination, the hero leapt high into the air and launched a swift attack at his opponent. The monster responded with an extremely powerful counterattack, once again demonstrating its overwhelming strength. The hero fell to the ground in pain, while the pendant began to crack and glow intensely as a result of his earlier attack. The monster felt immense rage and screamed in madness, calling the hero a bastard. The hero struggled to stand with great difficulty, just as the pendant shattered completely. The monster screamed in despair, trying to stop what was happening, yelling, "Stop it!" The monster's body began to fade away mysteriously, leaving behind a dazzling light that filled the entire place. The hero lay on the ground, gravely wounded, surrounded by destruction and ruin. The hero's eyes slowly closed as he stared at the sky, seemingly losing consciousness due to his severe injuries. He looked toward the sky, admiring the beautiful scene, saying it was a breathtaking and wonderful sight, referring to the clear sky where a meteor was falling rapidly. The scene shifts to another person, walking steadily on the ground. This person appears to be a young man in simple clothes, walking calmly in a modern city. A large sign appears, indicating the presence of a Class B Nansan gate, advising civilians not to pass and requesting heroes to register their ID and hero registration number to enter. The young man keeps walking, ignoring the instructions, as warnings are broadcast telling civilians to stay away. The young man reaches the Yongsan district in Seoul and stands in front of a large building. He suddenly jumps at an incredible speed and easily clears the wall. As soon as he crosses, a loud alarm sounds, warning of an unregistered person entering the gate. Loudspeakers issue a clear alert. Warning: an unregistered individual has forcefully entered the gate. The young man proceeds into a wide green area inside the gate and calmly looks around. He stands in the middle of this area surrounded by trees, seemingly unbothered by what just happened. Someone calls out to him from afar saying, "Hey, you there?" The young man turns cautiously toward the voice. A group of people approaches him, dressed in official gear, asking if he is lost. The group's leader says he doesn't know exactly what happened, but invites the young man to join them as they are heading out. The young man looks at them silently, unaffected by their words. One of the girls in the group notices his clothes and comments with surprise that he looks like a regular person. not a hero. Another member mocks the young man's simple attire, suggesting he might just be a luggage carrier. Another person in the group wonders aloud about the contents of the young man's large bag, expressing curiosity and disbelief. In the end, they scoff, saying he's probably just a baggage carrier left behind by the heroes who entered earlier, though they don't seem fully convinced by that explanation. The young man continues speaking with the group he encountered, explaining that he fully understands what they're saying, but he just arrived and doesn't wish to leave immediately. One of the group members responds with a mocking laugh, saying he had already told them the young man was careless and had been abandoned by the others. The group leader steps in with a serious tone, telling the young man that he has met many people like him before and understands exactly how he thinks when entering a gate. He goes on to advise the young man not to be reckless and to begin his journey in a low-level gate first, as what is shown in the media and online is very different from what actually happens. He also tells him to get a hero license and pass the test first, especially since the Namsan gate is classified as rank C. He recommends starting with F-rank gates instead. However, the young man responds coldly to the advice, saying he recognizes their good intentions, but isn't really grateful for their concern. The group falls into stunned silence, shocked by his rude and provocative response. One of the members becomes extremely angry, wanting to confront the young man for his apparent arrogance, while the others try to calm him down. Eventually, the group decides to ignore him, concluding that someone like him will only learn through harsh experience. The young man recalls in his mind what the leader had said about the danger of gates and how reality is much harsher than what people see in the media. Suddenly, a massive monster with a towering build appears directly behind the young man, threatening him. The monster lets out a terrifying roar, preparing to attack, while the young man stands confidently, not even turning to look, facing the incoming assault. His eyes turn a golden yellow as he calmly mutters that he has waited 10 years for this moment. The monster is taken aback by the young man's extraordinary ability and unexpected reaction. Then the young man launches a lightning-fast and powerful attack, easily defeating the monster. The beast falls dead to the ground, its blood spreading across the area. After killing the monster, the young man realizes that nothing has changed from his past memories. He still feels the same strength and resolve he always had. He stands tall amidst the smoke and remains of the battle that ended so swiftly. He picks up a weapon that had fallen from the monster and gazes at it with interest and focus. He stays silent, studying the weapon carefully as he thinks about what he should do next. He turns toward the monster's corpse, where a glowing, mysterious gate appears from the wound. The young man approaches the gate with confident, steady steps. Inside, he finds a low-grade magic stone and picks it up, observing it thoughtfully. He remembers that in the past, he would never have cared about such a modest item, but now he values it differently. Suddenly, he senses something suspicious and prepares with intense focus to face an approaching threat. He hears the sound of heavy, distinct footsteps rapidly getting closer. A new group of large, powerful monsters appears directly in front of him, ready to launch a fierce attack. The young man moves with incredible speed, skillfully dodging their strikes, then takes down one of the monsters with great ease. He continues fighting with great confidence, heading toward the remaining monsters as they charge at him with strength and ferocity, fully prepared to face them without fear or hesitation. Seo Dojun continued standing firmly in the face of the situation, while the group he had met earlier was walking away, unaware of what was happening behind them. The girl in the group turned her head, recalling the young man who had spoken to her rudely, and wondered if he was all right. She expressed her concern, questioning whether he might actually end up dead, which surprised her teammate, who didn't understand her concern for him. The group leader stepped in and pointed out that if the person was an intruder, then by now he would surely be pursued by agents from the control center. Indeed, control center agents were rapidly approaching the area, and it was clear that a Class C gate like Namsan required B rank or higher agents to handle such cases. The leader reassured his team that the young man wouldn't die as long as he didn't act recklessly and fight monsters, and his comrades agreed with him. At that moment, one of them mocked that the arrogant guy was probably trembling in fear by now, just waiting for the agents to come save him. But in reality, Seo Dojun was fighting the monsters with remarkable courage, landing decisive blows directly with his fists. He displayed incredible speed and skill in dodging and attacking, effortlessly evading the monsters' strikes. The monsters were stunned by Seo Dojun's speed and power, unable to react quickly enough to his abilities. Seo Dojun leapt high into the air with tremendous force and launched a surprise aerial attack on one of the monsters, then delivered a crushing blow that killed it instantly, leaving behind a lifeless corpse. Blood spread across the ground alongside the corpses of the defeated monsters. With visible confidence, Seo Dojun declared to himself that he had obtained 3 additional magic stones. then slung his bag back over his shoulders, ready to continue his path. He thought for a moment that the haul wasn't too impressive. So far, he had collected 12 low-grade stones and 16 of the slightly lower-than-average grade. As he was thinking, an agent from the control center suddenly appeared and called out to him from a distance, motioning for him to follow. Seo Dojun turned to him calmly, wondering what he wanted. Several agents in official uniforms approached and informed him they were from the control center, requesting that he show proof of being a registered hero, otherwise he would need to come with them to the center. Seo Dojun responded mockingly and dismissively, questioning if they really were from the control center. One of the agents firmly demanded that Seo Dojun comply with their orders immediately. At that moment, Seo Dojun showed clear irritation with their persistence, responding sharply that they were seriously annoying. The agents began to grow tense due to Seo Dojun's reaction. One of them told his colleague to bring the cuffs so they could detain him, insisting that he cooperate. They warned that if he refused, they might have to use physical force. Indeed, one of the agents grabbed Seo Dojun's arm in an attempt to restrain him, while another warned him that any injuries resulting from his resistance would be his own responsibility, and that it would be best if he just came with them quietly to the control center. Seo Dojun continued his confrontation with the control center agents, effortlessly deflecting the agent who had tried to restrain him. The agent was shocked by Seo Dojun's unexpected strength. Seo Dojun looked at them coldly and told them not to bother him and to leave immediately. The rest of the agents quickly attempted to intervene, drawing their weapons to subdue him by force. They used special batons, releasing a 4th-rank magic seal in an attempt to restrict his movements. Seo Dojun noticed the strength of the magic used and commented to himself that it might be effective against monsters like orcs, but it wasn't enough to stop him. Seo Dojun swiftly overpowered one of the agents, grabbing him with ease, causing the agent to scream in intense pain. He turned to the remaining agents with a serious tone, warning them this was their last chance, and that if they didn't want to get hurt, they should back off immediately. The agents tried to attack again, but Seo Dojun moved at incredible speed and struck first. He successfully deflected their simultaneous attacks with little effort. They attacked again, but he countered and pushed them back with direct, powerful blows. Seo Dojun continued his assault with overwhelming force, using precise combat techniques that allowed him to defeat the agents with complete ease. He knocked one of them to the ground with a powerful strike, leaving him unable to continue fighting. He then quickly turned toward the last remaining agent, preparing to finish the confrontation. The remaining agent felt immense tension from Seo Dojun's unprecedented power. Seo Dojun gave him a sharp glare, clearly showing he had the strength to defeat them all. Seo Dojun suddenly vanished from the agent's sight with astonishing speed, leaving the agent confused and deeply unsettled by what just happened. Seo Dojun reappeared behind the agent and landed a powerful direct blow that dropped him to the ground, rendering him unable to stand. The agent found himself lying on the ground, unable to rise, groaning in pain. Seo Dojun turned to him again, speaking calmly and confidently. Seo Dojun asked the agent why the control center hunted down unregistered heroes, to which the agent explained that registered heroes don't face issues unless they break rules inside the gates. Seo Dojun then asked sharply about rift zones, causing the agent to grow fearful and confused. Rift zones are defined as passages to other worlds where strange monsters appear and spread across the globe, and the resources obtained from these monsters are used as a new form of energy. Zones that are fully controlled by the government and prevent monsters from escaping are classified as gates, while areas that are still unknown and not yet stabilized are called rift zones. Seo Dojun angrily explained that the agents would continue to hunt him in every gate he entered, accusing them of targeting him for unauthorized entry. The agent, now extremely frightened, confirmed the truth of Seo Dojun's words, adding that whenever an unregistered hero enters a gate without permission, the control center is automatically alerted, and nearby agents are dispatched immediately. Seo Dojun continued speaking with the control center agent, who was visibly fearful and confused. The agent tried to explain that rift zones weren't as accessible as gates, and that the Hero Association would not sit idly by if someone tried to breach them. Seo Dojun replied indifferently, showing no concern for his threats. The agent grew angry, realizing he should have reported Seo Dojun to headquarters from the start, calling him insane and dangerous. But before he could take any further action, he was struck by a powerful blow from Seo Dojun, which sent him flying and crashing violently to the ground. Seo Dojun looked down at the fallen agent with scorn, calling him a worthless person. As the agent began to rise with difficulty, he screamed in rage, vowing to kill Seo Dojun the next time they met. At that moment, the scene suddenly shifted strangely within Seo Dojun's mind. revealing a distorted and mysterious image of someone screaming loudly. Seo Dojun began to hear a voice, close to his scream, expressing great suffering. He felt as if he were gradually losing consciousness, being pulled into something unknown, and began to wonder if this was death. He then recalled seeing the clear features of his former self before he had entered this body, eyes calm and staring directly at the old Seo Dojun. He was suspended in the air, surrounded by a strange light, as if trapped between the sky and the earth. That figure then calmly asked for Seo Dojun's name. The former Seo Dojun introduced himself, saying he felt he was on the verge of death. He added quietly that if his request was granted, he would disappear peacefully without causing trouble. But the other man firmly rejected the request. Seo Dojun was surprised by this statement and didn't know how to respond at first. The other explained that he had no more attachment to life, that after fighting for 10 years, he had been betrayed by a comrade he trusted. His country was completely destroyed, and he lost his friends and family as well. He spoke with deep sorrow about a life that felt meaningless no matter how hard he tried. He then addressed Seo Dojun directly, asking him whether he felt the same way. Seo Dojun expressed his hope that the lives of those family and loved ones who remained wouldn't turn out like his own, even if his life had been miserable. The other sighed and asked Seo Dojun, with interest, what he truly wanted, in the simplest possible terms. Seo Dojun placed his hand on his chest and said clearly that what he truly desired was something he hadn't yet expressed. Then the scene shifted once again to reveal the Gasan Digital Complex in Gumcheon District, Seoul, now known as the Hero Complex, where businesses trading in gate-derived products far outnumber IT companies. Seo Dojun walked calmly through the street amid the bustle of people and the noise of everyday life. He stopped in front of one of the shops, wondering to himself whether this would be the right place to take his next step. At a store specializing in buying mana stones, a young clerk greeted Seo Dojun with a routine welcome. Seo Dojun explained to the clerk that he wanted to sell the mana stones he had collected. He emptied the contents of his bag onto the table, revealing a collection of magic stones still stained with traces of blood. The clerk was surprised and visibly uncomfortable at the sight of the blood on the stones, silently grumbling about how people should clean their stones before bringing them in. Nevertheless, he calmly informed Seo Dojun that he had quite a lot of stones, and that it would take some time to sort through them. The clerk offered Seo Dojun a cup of coffee while he waited, to which Seo Dojun replied curtly that anything would do. Seo Dojun sat and drank his coffee with calm detachment, while the clerk busily sorted through the stones. Once finished, the clerk detailed the contents: 12 low-grade stones, 16 mid-grade stones, and 5 slightly high-grade stones. He then announced that the store's commission was 40%, bringing Seo Dojun's total payout to around 6 million won. Seo Dojun cut him off angrily, objecting to the high commission rate and pointing out that he was the one who did all the hunting and hard work, so why should the store take 40% of the earnings? The clerk replied with a smug smile, explaining that other stores usually take 45%, and that this was actually a better deal. He then told Seo Dojun that if he didn't want to sell, he could take the stones and leave, challenging him by saying he wouldn't find a better deal anywhere else. Seo Dojun responded coldly and decided not to complete the transaction, taking his stones to sell elsewhere. But as he turned to leave, the clerk quickly grabbed his arm, demanding payment for the sorting, the coffee, the blood cleaning, and the cleaning towel, amounting to a total fee of 360,000 won. Seo Dojun firmly stated he had no money to pay the fee, daring the clerk to take it from him by force if he could. The clerk smiled wickedly and warned Seo Dojun that he had backup from C-rank heroes, calling him a nuisance. Suddenly, a group of large, hostile-looking men entered the store, having been called in by the clerk. The burly man leading them asked why they'd been summoned and whether someone was causing trouble. Seo Dojun exchanged a cold, sharp glare with the large man, causing a heavy tension in the air. The clerk began to feel scared and anxious about how things were unfolding. In an instant, Seo Dojun launched a swift and unexpected attack on the large man, knocking him down with a single powerful punch. The man fell to the floor, unable to move or fight back. Seo Dojun then calmly looked at the rest of the men, who had also fallen easily before his strength. He slowly walked toward the terrified clerk, and coolly informed him that from now on, the commission would be only 1%. Seo Dojun gave the clerk a chilling, quiet smile, instructing him to handle things more smoothly and respectfully in the future. As he left, he promised the clerk that he'd be back again later. The scene then shifts to Seo Dojun's family home, where he threw a large sum of money onto the table in front of his grandmother and sister, who were both shocked at the sight. His grandmother asked in clear amazement where all this money had come from, stunned and bewildered by what her grandson had done. Seo Do-jun sat comfortably on the floor, trying to justify the large amount of money he had given to his grandmother and sister by saying that he had lent it to a friend some time ago, and that friend had used the money in a very successful project. His grandmother looked at him with suspicion, feeling that the story didn't sound realistic. She asked him, clearly doubtful if he really had a friend like that. Seo Do-jun tried to ease her doubts by explaining that this friend was someone from his past, from a different place where he had grown up. His grandmother appeared to accept the explanation as she held the money, but she still seemed uneasy. His younger sister On-young excitedly asked him if that meant they were rich now. Seo Do-jun smiled warmly and replied calmly, assuring her that from now on, they were indeed rich. His grandmother and sister were overjoyed by the news, dancing and celebrating together inside the house with visible happiness. Seo Do-jun watched them celebrating, but deep inside he felt a sense of unease. Remembering the request made by the other Seo Do-jun that his family live in a completely safe place. He had wished for his family's eternal safety, but the entity vanished before it could answer that request. Then, he recalled the moment when he first woke up to discover that he had become Seo Do-jun after once being someone else in a ruined world. Seo Do-jun thought about how the safest home in Korea costs around 110 billion won at current market prices. He considered that he wasn't obligated to fulfill a one-sided promise, yet he remained determined to achieve his goal. He told himself confidently that once he regained his full strength, that huge amount of money would be nothing to him. Seo Do-jun then remembered that everything in this world, from gates and rifts to monsters, was far weaker than what he had faced in his previous destroyed world. Horrifying monsters he had fought before appeared in his mind, and he noted that his current strength hadn't even reached 10% of what it once was. At that moment, his thoughts were interrupted by the sound of a loud, violent knock on the door, followed by a voice calling out loudly, asking for Seo Do-jun. Seo Do-jun calmly told his grandmother to stay inside with his sister and decided to go out and confront whoever was at the door. He stepped outside to find two large men waiting for him at the doorstep, their aggression and hostility immediately apparent. The two men demanded that Seo Do-jun repay the money he had borrowed previously, stating that the amount owed was very large, up to 45 million won. Seo Do-jun instantly realized these were debt collectors the real Seo Do-jun had once borrowed money from to pay for his grandmother's hospital bills, and that the amount had now grown significantly. The men aggressively insisted that he hand over all the money he had recently earned from the gate, as per the contract between them. As the two tried to force him to pay, Seo Do-jun landed an incredibly powerful punch on one of them with surprising speed. The other man was stunned by Seo Do-jun's unexpected speed and power, visibly shaken by the sudden attack. Seo Do-jun approached the second man menacingly, stating that he had already paid over 9 million won, and in fact, he should be the one asking for his money back. The man backed away in fear, asking in shock and disbelief whether he was really the same Seo Do-jun he used to know. Seo Do-jun didn't answer his question. Instead, he gave him one final firm warning and told him in a clearly threatening tone to inform his boss that he would be visiting him soon. In a bustling shopping mall filled with people moving between various stores, a large display of plush toys suddenly appears on the shelves of a retail shop, arranged in an attractive manner. The young girl, On-young, gazes at the toys with excitement and joy, wondering to herself if she can really buy a new doll. Seo Do-jun smiles gently at his little sister, assuring her that he already bought her new clothes and that she can now get anything she wants. Seo Do-jun starts reflecting on his emotions, realizing that the mixed memories he shares with the original Seo Do-jun have influenced his previously dull and numb feelings. He continues watching his little sister, On-young, and thinks that what he feels might just be sympathy. Still, he admits that the original Seo Do-jun was truly kind to his half-sister, On-young. On-young remains standing excitedly in front of the toys, unable to easily choose one. At that moment, Seo Do-jun silently vows to at least protect the heart of the original Seo Do-jun, who loved his little sister deeply. On-young finally picks out a small toy and asks Seo Do-jun if she can have it. When she holds up the little doll to show him, Seo Do-jun reaches out and instead selects a large, beautiful plush toy for her. He reminds her once more that he told her to buy whatever she wants without hesitation. On-young smiles brightly, full of gratitude for her brother. After shopping, the two sit together in a restaurant to eat, with a variety of delicious dishes laid out on the table. While eating, Seo Do-jun suddenly hears a girl's voice from behind him, surprised and asking if the person sitting in front of her is really Seo Do-jun. He turns toward the voice and sees a well-dressed girl accompanied by a group of large-bodied bodyguards. The girl begins mocking Seo Do-jun's appearance, saying he doesn't look any better than before, then asks dismissively about the little girl with him. Seo Do-jun glares at her sharply, while she mocks him further, asking if On-young is as much trouble as her mother once was. The atmosphere grows increasingly tense due to her words, and Seo Do-jun and his sister sit silently as the girl approaches their table with her guards. On-young, confused, quietly wonders who the girl bothering them is, while Seo Do-jun remains silent and visibly angry. The girl gives a sly smile and continues taunting and mocking them without pause, while On-young innocently stares at her, not understanding the reason behind the sudden hostility. The girl asks On-young for her name, and On-young simply replies, On-young. The girl begins mocking On-young and her family, especially ridiculing her simple clothes, comparing her to her mother, and calling them both pitiful. She turns to Seo Do-jun and, with a provocative tone, asks if she's right in what she's saying. But he remains silent and furious, refusing to answer. The girl grows visibly angry at being ignored and not getting a reaction to her taunts. Then she turns back to On-young and, in a clearly threatening tone, calls her an annoying little brat. The arrogant girl continues provoking Seo Do-jun, sarcastically asking On-young if she knows the meaning of the word vagrant. Seo Do-jun looks at her with utter coldness, then sharply retorts, calling her as ugly as an orc. The girl is utterly shocked by this unexpected response, staring at him in disbelief. She replies in a stunned, hesitant voice, asking if she really heard him correctly. Seo Do-jun keeps glaring at her with fierce, angry eyes. Seo Do-jun recalls the harsh past of the real Seo Do-jun, who was born into severe poverty. After his mother died when he was 7, he was forced to move in with his biological father. But his life never improved, as he suffered for more than 10 years from discrimination and neglect at the hands of his father's legal wife and her son, becoming completely ostracized in the household. He was eventually kicked out again and went to live with his maternal grandmother and his half-sister On-young, whom he had never met before. Seo Do-jun feels deep sadness and wonders how the original Seo Do-jun endured all this injustice and cruelty in silence. Then he makes a firm decision that from now on, everything will be different. Seo Do-jun turns toward the arrogant girl with confident, challenging eyes and tells her that he lived with her for 12 years, and yet she still disgusts him. He sharply calls her hopeless, from her features to her awful personality and foolish mind. He continues harshly, saying that she's always jealous of girls who are prettier and kinder than her, and that she clings to a deep inferiority complex. He adds that she's never any better than On-young, who truly and honestly cares about her brother's financial situation. The girl looks at him in anger, her face clearly showing the shock of his biting insult. She screams furiously, demanding to know what he just said. Suddenly everyone hears a woman's calm voice saying, "Do-jun, it's been a long time." A sophisticated, elegant woman approaches them, her confidence and strength immediately apparent. The girl is stunned when she sees her, crying out, "Mom!" and rushing over to her, complaining tearfully about what Seo Do-jun said to her. But the mother responds harshly, telling her to be quiet and to stop behaving in such an inappropriate way. Ignoring her daughter's actions, the mother turns to Seo Do-jun with a seemingly gentle tone, asking if he's all right. As Seo Do-jun leaves, the mother chides him in a voice that sounds sympathetic, saying that even if he's busy, he should still visit the house from time to time. Inside, Seo Do-jun is filled with anger, thinking about the hypocrisy of this woman who hurt him the most for 12 years. The mother continues provoking him, claiming that his father worries about him a lot, and expressing her disgust in an obviously insincere way. Seo Do-jun turns to her with a furious glare and tells her bluntly that their relationship is not the kind that allows her to ask about him or interfere in his life. Then he sharply tells her to get out of his sight immediately. The woman feels deeply insulted and humiliated in front of everyone by Seo Do-jun's firm and powerful response. She leaves, overcome with anger and embarrassment, while her daughter stands behind her, stunned by this sharp and humiliating confrontation. As the woman walked away angrily, she wondered to herself if this person was really the Seo Do-jun she used to know, the one who would always lower his head even when beaten for no reason. Her daughter hurried after her, calling out and asking her to wait for a moment. Meanwhile, Seo Do-jun quietly turned to his sister, On-young, and told her it was time to leave, and she immediately agreed. Seo Do-jun thought confidently to himself, declaring internally that the Seo Do-jun who used to remain silent and endure abuse was completely gone, warning his enemies that it was in their best interest to realize that quickly. The car carrying the woman, her daughter, and the guards sped away from the scene. Inside the car, the girl started yelling in anger, demanding to know why they left like that and insisting that Seo Do-jun be punished for what he had done. The girl continued to complain loudly to her mother, angrily asking if she knew what Seo Do-jun had said to her, but the mother ignored her and coldly addressed one of her guards, saying, "Chief Lee, The mother turned to the guard and sharply asked why Seo Do-jun was still alive. Guard Lee nervously replied that the report stated Kang Cheol-woo had already left Seo Do-jun in the rift zone. The mother screamed in furious rage, saying that Seo Do-jun was supposed to be dead and wondering how he could still be alive. Guard Lee immediately apologized and promised to investigate the matter again. The girl was shocked by what she heard and began questioning her mother about what she meant by saying Seo Do-jun should be dead. But the mother gave no reply and remained silent, ignoring her daughter's question. The girl was left stunned and screamed at her mother in disbelief. "Did you really try to kill Seo Do-jun?" Then, completely shocked, she continued, her voice filled with anger and jealousy, asking if her mother still had feelings for Seo Do-jun. The mother exploded in fury, grabbing her daughter's face and shouting vehemently that she had absolutely no feelings for him, warning her that neither her grandfather nor her father must ever find out about this. She threatened her daughter violently and warned her not to interfere again, making it clear that this matter concerned her alone and she would handle it herself. The daughter was terrified and left speechless. Internally, the mother continued to seethe with rage, vowing to herself that Seo Do-jun dared to challenge her, even though he was just a worthless, illegitimate child. She decided that she would make him disappear at any cost. The story flashes back to 10 years ago, when rift zones first appeared. These zones caused dangerous monsters to emerge, attacking and mercilessly killing people. The world fell into extreme chaos as a result of these events. However, the situation gradually began to stabilize with the emergence of heroes who were able to fight back against the monsters. From the monsters, people obtained magical stones called mana stones, which became the world's new source of energy. After that, nations started transforming these dangerous rift zones into organized gates. Now the entire world revolves around gates and heroes, with the whole industry centered on these gates. Elsewhere, Seo Do-jun realized that the only way to make money in this world was to become a hero. Seo Do-jun arrives at a building called Yongdyungpo, which serves as the headquarters of HC Finance Company. In that place, which looks like an old building, a man is standing, smoking a cigarette while watching the situation with anticipation. Seo Do-jun enters the building, surprising the smoking man and his companions with the presence of a stranger. The man asks him sternly who he is, then adds angrily if he really dares to show up here after having messed with his men before. Seo Do-jun responds with complete calm, saying that the more he thinks about it, the more he realizes he suffered a significant loss. The man is puzzled by Seo Do-jun's words and asks him what he means by loss. Seo Do-jun continues, explaining coldly that he deserves substantial compensation for the material and moral damages he has suffered. The man with glasses stares at Seo Do-jun, thinking to himself that Seo Do-jun's personality has changed a lot since entering the gate. The man also concludes that Seo Do-jun must have awakened his power inside the gate. He steps toward Seo Do-jun, threatening him and saying he knows very well what happens to people who become arrogant after awakening in the gates. Suddenly, other men approach and surround Seo Do-jun, clearly threatening him. The main man stands up and moves closer to Seo Do-jun in an aggressive manner. The man angrily explains that he has seen many people become D-rank heroes, and that they were all arrogant, but in the end, they were nothing but trash. He also asserts that he has plenty of D-rank heroes who don't even allow anyone to speak to them. Seo Do-jun remains silent, ignoring all the threats he hears. But the main man angrily orders him to sit down, thinking he has ended the conversation. Seo Do-jun firmly replies that he hasn't finished talking yet. The man becomes extremely angry at Seo Do-jun's manner of response and tries to attack him suddenly. But the man is utterly shocked when he discovers that Seo Do-jun has moved at incredible speed. Seo Do-jun delivers a powerful headbutt to the man, making him collapse instantly. After that, Seo Do-jun continues attacking the rest of the men who had surrounded him with extreme ease, landing crushing blows that send them to the ground quickly. During the fight, Seo Do-jun tells them that he knows very well their business isn't limited to just usurious lending. He then adds, while continuing the fight, that he's also aware they forge identities. Seo Do-jun clarifies that if he wants to start making money, he needs an official hero ID card. Seo Do-jun continues fighting non-stop, effortlessly and skillfully dodging the men's attacks. Then he stands among the defeated men lying on the ground, and coldly demands that the main man provide him with a genuine hero ID card without any errors or issues. He adds in a firm tone that it must be ready by tomorrow. The main man feels intense fear, thinking to himself that Seo Do-jun might not be just a D-rank hero, but possibly B-rank or higher. As Seo Do-jun continues speaking to the man he knocked to the ground, he demands a clear answer to his question. So the man quickly decides to agree to Seo Do-jun's request, out of fear of his anger. But Seo Do-jun stops him again, telling him that there's something else he wants to know as well. Then Seo Dojun asks him sharply and threateningly if Hong Hee-ju was the one who ordered him to kill him. The man clearly recalls in his mind the features of Hong Hee-ju when she gave him the order, but he remains silent and does not answer. Because of the man's silence, Seo Dojun becomes even angrier and presses down hard on his face, demanding once again that he answer. The man screams in pain and terror, quickly confessing that Hong Hee-ju really did order him to do it. He explains that Hong Hee-ju hoped Seo Dojun would fall so deeply into debt that he would be forced to commit suicide. Then the man adds, still screaming in terror, that this is exactly what Hong Hee-ju told him. Seo Dojun remains calm after hearing this confession, while the man begs him to let him go. Seo Dojun mocks the man's words about suicide, saying that this explains why he was locked inside the gate. The man immediately tries to defend himself, insisting that he knew nothing about the gate situation. He continues defending himself, saying that if Seo Dojun died, he wouldn't get any money, so why would he send him there in the first place? Seo Dojun listens to the man's words with interest and thinks quietly. Then Seo Dojun suddenly remembers the name Kang Cheol-woo and says it out loud. Seo Dojun explains to the man that Kang Cheol-woo was the one who put him in the gate and asks the man to bring him all the information related to this person by tomorrow. The man agrees immediately, visibly terrified. Seo Dojun leaves the place calmly, leaving the men in a state of extreme fear and panic. As he walks, Seo Dojun remembers his wish to live with his grandmother and his sister Onyong in the safest house possible. Seo Dojun decides to himself that he must work to achieve this goal as he walks with confident steps. Seo Dojun obtains a hero identification card from the man he ordered to get it for him. Seo Dojun uses the ID card on an electronic device to verify its authenticity. The device verifies the validity of Seo Dojun's hero identification card and confirms it is valid. Nevertheless, a clear warning appears on the device, stating that Seo Dojun's level is lower than the recommended level for entry. But Seo Dojun mutters in annoyance that the man should have given him a higher rank, like rank A instead of his current rank. Seo Dojun ignores the warning and confidently proceeds through the entrance, while the device continues to issue its warning. Information is provided about the Bamseum Gate, which is classified as B rank, but it is small, like a D rank gate, and authorities recommend not entering except as part of a team of 2 or more people. Nevertheless, the information also states that because the gate is structured as a tunnel, it only allows individual entry, which makes it difficult to complete except for those who are at least rank A. Seo Dojun keeps advancing inside the gate, ignoring all the warnings that appear before him. The text explains that if he is unlucky, he might have to face hundreds of monsters alone, in a dark and narrow tunnel. Seo Dojun begins facing the monsters, but he never seems afraid. Rather, he appears to enjoy the fight. Seo Dojun's battle begins with a gigantic and fierce serpent-shaped monster. Seo Dojun displays great skill as he dodges the snake's repeated and rapid attacks. The snake continues to assault Seo Dojun, releasing poisonous venom from its fangs in an attempt to injure him. Seo Dojun realizes that the monster is a black-fanged serpent, a type of extremely poisonous creature that can kill with even a small dose of venom. Seo Dojun successfully lands a powerful and direct blow on the monster. He continues fighting with swift and skillful movements, delivering consecutive strikes to the beast. Seo Dojun moves at high speed, trying to avoid the deadly venom the monster spreads around him. He manages to evade being poisoned and feels relieved by this success. He looks at the glove he's wearing, which has been splashed with some of the venom, and thinks to himself that at least he managed to profit 300,000 won from it. In a moment of intense focus, Seo Dojun senses a quick movement from the monster and prepares to face it again. The monster attacks with great force, but Seo Dojun blocks it with obvious ease. As a result of this confrontation, the monster is pushed forcefully backward, its venom spreading through the area. Seo Dojun stands tall as he watches the monster fall before him, defeated. He approaches, searching for magic stones inside its body, but finds nothing, and calmly says there is no magic stone inside. Seo Dojun confirms that, based on his previous experience, the probability of finding a magic stone inside a black-fanged serpent is less than 3%. Seo Dojun realizes he needs to hunt hundreds of monsters to gather enough stones, and tells himself calmly that he should be prepared for this effort. He continues advancing through the gate, arriving at an area filled with bones and monster corpses. A massive skull appears before him, and Seo Dojun wonders if this is the gate's boss monster. Seo Dojun raises his head to confirm the presence of the boss monster and prepares to face it. The boss monster appears before him, a colossal serpent with glowing green eyes. Seo Dojun feels relieved that the boss monster showed itself, saying he didn't know the way to it. so this is very convenient. SEO Dojun decides to attack immediately and end the battle quickly. However, he is surprised to discover that his attacks do not reach the monster's body. He wonders to himself why his strikes aren't able to effectively hit the monster. SEO Dojun continues his attempt,